I don't know so much about the gun laws in Texas. So what can we do and what can we not do carrying wise?
You can carry your gun as long as it's visible. It can't be hidden. That's what the open carry part.
What about self-defense?
Like if someone comes into your house, they have to actually be in your house. They can't be outside on the porch.
I thought if they were in the lawn, you can shoot.
No.
How do you feel about death penalty?
I'm for it in some cases. Others I'm not.
I've heard some attorneys that they absolutely won't take a case if they feel like your client actually did do the crime.
So it depends on the case. But then I believe they do deserve a defense.
What about self-defense? I think there was a recent case that I've read. God,
I've always been curious about that.
I like the stand your ground laws and stuff. But what's the gray area with the stand your ground laws?
So like if someone comes into your house, they have to actually be in your house. They can't be outside on the porch.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
See, I didn't know that.
They have to be
I
in
thought
your house in Texas.
if they were in the lawn, you can shoot.
No, they have to be in your house.
Really?
So what if they're like screaming, yelling, causing a ruckus, banging on my door? Can I shoot through the door?
No.
That is so silly.
Yep.
So I have to wait for this crazy murderer to get inside my house so that the game starts. And then,
Yep.
that's insane. You best believe I'm hiding behind the kitchen counter, posted up like a sniper.
What else?
That's terrifying because it's like, what if you miss? He's there. He's already in the inside.
I didn't
He's
know
rushing
that.
at you.
I
Oh my
literally thought
gosh.
if there are within your property lines that you have the right to draw.
You have to be in your home.
You can't just shoot somebody because they're in your yard.
If they're not.
Who's this random guy? Pow! It's like, what?
I really thought that's part of it. That's crazy.
What if it's just like, what if there's a reason? What if he just like, he's playing with his kid's football. The football went into your yard. He's in your yard.
No, but like you said, if somebody's at your house and you're being harassed, like, get out of my property.
Yeah, but I don't think it's necessarily reasonable
I'm not going to shoot to kill.
to shoot. If you shoot,
wait.
you better shoot to kill.
Isn't that part of the defense too? Like, if you're going to shoot, it better be intentional.
Well, it depends. So it depends. So say you're fighting somebody and they're hitting you, with their fist, and then you pull out a gun and shoot them. You now have used excessive force, and
so you can still be charged.
You can be charged.
But what if you're scared for your life?
You can raise the issue.
What if you're getting you're on concrete. They're slamming your head into concrete, brain injury. Boom, done for. Now you have a reasonable,
correct,
like case to go on that route to where it's like, okay, it was self-defense because I really feared my life. I mean, I don't know, that stuff, I feel like it has a lot of gray areas because you'd be surprised. Like, street fights aren't necessarily like the most not dangerous thing. Like, they could get dangerous. If it's on concrete, you hit somebody the right way, back of the head, instant, like, brain injury. Like, there's this one UFC fighter, I don't know if anybody knows his name, but he was like a young fighter and stuff, and there was a fight that he had, and a guy hit him to the back of the head twice, and now he's completely disabled in a chair.
But he actually came back. He actually rehabilitated, so he's back on the ring. I've seen that recently. Yeah.
He was like Middle Eastern or something, or like Turkish or something, right?
Yeah, he's back on the ring.
Yeah, and he was like in a whole chair and stuff. How do you recover from that?
I don't think he got charged either, the guy that did it.
He should have got charged.
But no, I had
it was intentional.
We talking about self-defense. Like, I seen on Twitter a couple days ago where this guy was harassed by like 5 or 6 like teenagers on the beach. Have you seen that? And he's getting like slapped around. And then I think initially the guy, so it ended up to where the guy that was getting harassed had a knife, small like pocket knife.
Oh my gosh, are you talking about the white dude?
Yeah.
The older guy.
Right.
It was like a river, almost like a float area.
So to defend himself, he, stabbed the guys that were harassing him.
He stabbed a girl too.
Yeah. Now, I don't know the initial part, but it looked like he was charged with whatever assault, or I don't know if he killed anyone. I don't think he killed anybody. But then now the video came out that looked like he was getting tossed around, punched. And then you can see that he was pulling.
Yeah, he had it like this.
Yeah.
He had it like that.
So
and
that's
I guess
self-defense.
the people that were trying to go against him were saying like, oh, he had it in a way that he was intending to use it the whole time. He didn't tell anybody like, hey, I have this, and if y'all don't leave me alone, then
So what if the video in that kind of case, what if the video didn't exist? Nobody recorded it. As an attorney, how would you defend that it's
On self-defense, you're going to have to put the person on the stand.
the person that did it?
Right, unless you have other witnesses that saw it. Because you have to be able to raise that issue.
Mm-hmm.
And so it would just bring out through either cross-examination of the other, the alleged victims, or and then directing your client to bring out the facts of the self-defense. There were 5 or 6 people around me. They were all hitting me. I grabbed my knife. I didn't use it. You want to try to somehow in there, hey, y'all need to back up. I got a knife. But at that time, if you're being jumped by 5 or 6 people, then you just want to bring out those facts and show it to the jury or to the state before you even go to trial.
Right.
I mean, in the video, it did show him holding it with like nobody attacking him at that time. So it's like, I don't know. That was crazy. But
I mean, he kept falling back, and then finally, I think he got a grip to stand up, and
Oh, I don't know. I didn't see the rest of it. I only saw like a few seconds of it.
Yeah.
It was like some overview video. That was insane, though.
What about? Okay, so can you explain? Because I don't know so much about the gun laws in Texas. So what can we do and what can we not do carrying wise? Because I understand it's open carry now, right? What does that mean?
So that means you can carry your gun as long as it's visible. It can't be hidden. That's what the open carry part.
Anything hidden's concealed.
Correct.
Right?
And then, of course, if you go on a property that says no open carry or no concealed, then you can't take your gun in there. If you're a convicted felon, you can't carry a firearm on you. In Texas, you can have one in your home if it's been at least 5 years since you were released from prison or finished your probation. Federal is a little different. But you can't carry one as a felon.
That's ever?
Correct.
Like, did that one never,
correct.
You have that right to carry again?
No, you'll never have it. Some misdemeanors, family violence cases, there's, restrictions there for carrying weapons, protective orders. Some of them carry those. If there's a family violence one that's found, then you lose your right to carry or even possess a handgun for a certain period of time.
What about the
concealed carry license?
Right. That still exists, no?
Yeah.
So you can still have that license and conceal it in public? Or just in public?
Well, she's the...
Depends.
Okay.
So, you can with a concealed carry, but it depends on where you're at.
So with open carry,
Just
back
like
to the...
government buildings, you can't.
Correct.
You can't carry, even if you have it, you can't also cross the border with it because that's a felony too, right?
Correct.
And I think certain businesses has a choice whether or not if you allow it or not allow it.
Is it like
you can't carry on school property.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Not open carry or concealed. You're not allowed to have it on school property.
So back to the self-defense kind of conversation with guns, what's the right time to defend yourself with a gun at that point when you feel like your life is in danger and then not be convicted of murder or,
That depends. I mean, it's very hard to say, hey, you can shoot them at this time and not get charged with murder. There's no guarantee you won't get charged with murder if you kill them, or aggravated assault if you just hurt them and wound them. Kind of depends on the situation, because you never know, say somebody's beating the tar out of you with their hands. Right. But then they're MMA fighters where you're this only little person and all you have is this gun, and you pull the gun, you shoot them. And then they try to say, well, it's not self-defense because they didn't have a weapon. But at that situation, their hands are their weapons because of their training. So it just kind of depends on, it's hard to say.
What are the minimal grounds? At a minimum, to be able to say that it's self-defense, are there factors that you need to make sure that you cover before doing that?
You don't have a duty to retreat in Texas.
What's that?
You don't have to run away. You don't have that duty. So in some states you do before you can claim self-defense. In Texas, it's just if somebody's beating you up and you turn around and beat them up, but you end up breaking their nose or something and hurting them worse, you use the same amount of force. So it was reasonable force. They were clearly the instigator and the aggressor. So In that case, it would be an assault. And of course, you'd want to use self-defense in that case. So it just kind of depends on the facts. You never want to be you can't be the aggressor and use self-defense.
So you can only basically use a firearm if they have some type of firearm too.
Correct.
That's like a 50-50 gamble on who dies.
That's scary though, because like, you know, like they always say like, oh, protect yourself. Like my husband always tells me like, I carry, well, not here. I really don't, but I do have a gun. I do at my house. And then my husband always tells me, he's like, you need to start carrying it. You need, like my husband, he's a veteran. So everywhere he goes, he always has his gun in our car. Right. And then he tries to tell me, but it's like, that's scary enough. But then especially now what you're saying, it's like situational. So like, what if I was really intentionally trying to, you know, save myself, but then I can still be charged?
Yeah, you can always be charged. It doesn't mean you'll be convicted, but you can always be charged.
Right. Oh God, that's scary.
I'm taking my chances. I mean, I might let it get to like right before I have to take a 50-50 chance, whether it's him or me. I'm taking my chances.
I don't know. Now that scares me because then, okay, so
That's terrifying.
Question about jury. Walk us through on the jury selection and how does that work?
So on jury selection, of course, it depends on the case. If it's a felony, you have 12 that you're trying to get. If it's a misdemeanor, it's 6. Usually they bring in 60 people that you're really not picking. You're kind of getting rid of people you don't want.
You have the say, like as a prosecutor and a defense?
Yes.
Or who has the say?
So both the prosecutor and defense, they're called strikes. So you can challenge people for cause, those that can't follow the law. For instance, say a murder case and someone says, I can never give them just 5 years. Well, that's part of the law. You have to be able to consider it. And so those are cause. Peremptory challenges, in felony cases, you get 10. Each side gets 10. And those you can, because you don't like the way the person's hair looks or you don't like the way their makeup's done, you can get rid of them. For pretty much any reason for those 10.
That's crazy.
If we were in a jury, or would you keep us? Or you don't like the way your hair looks or something?
Looks I don't really get rid of people based on looks. More so their answers or
Probably
their
a good thing
refusal to answer. Yeah, it is.
So I always feel like with having a jury, as an attorney, you almost really want to play an act to convince the jury to sway, obviously.
You don't want to really act. You want to be yourself. You know, most of them understand that you have a job to do with whichever side you're on. But, you know, if you start acting, then they're going to see through that and they're not going to believe, you know, what you're saying or what you're trying to tell them. Because really the only time you talk to the jury is when you're picking a jury.
Yeah, that was my question too. Like, what's the boundary between you guys and the jury?
So when you pick them, you get to ask them questions. And then during the trial, you, I guess, talk at them, so to speak, during your opening and closings. But you can't ask them questions. You can ask them rhetorical questions, you know. But other than that, you don't talk to them except for at the very beginning when you're trying to choose the jury members.
I feel like Suits really prepared me for this. And I'm like, everything she's saying, I'm like picturing it in my head. I was like, yeah.
Like, I didn't know there was a different numbers of jury between felony and misdemeanor.
I had no clue.
I always thought it was the judge's decision on the jury picking. Interesting. Do you kind of have a gut feeling, like when the trial is over, do you have a gut feeling, kind of like already, like, oh yeah, like
sometimes?
Yeah.
I know I've had cases to where, you know, I had an armed robbery that I tried and my client was on video committing the robbery and they came back not guilty.
Real? Wow.
Well, I thought I was going to fall over because I was like, okay, there he was. And then you have others where you really and truly believe that they didn't prove their case, that your client's innocent and they come back guilty. So it just depends. I mean, sometimes juries are hard to read. Some are very expressionable and, you know, you can see what they're thinking. Others just have that poker face. So you don't know.
So the one with the robbery, did you get to talk to the jury afterwards and
They
why?
didn't want to talk.
Really? Wow. What's the longest deliberation that
I've
you
had
had?
one, they deliberated for 4 days. So.
And is it true that they're not allowed to go the outside world?
So it depends on the type of case.
Okay.
So some judges allow them to go home at night, and then just give them the, don't talk to people about this case. Don't tell them what you're, doing.
How do you enforce that though?
Yeah. I don't know.
I would talk to my husband.
Guilty.
I would tell
Take
him all
her-
day, like, "Oh, this is what
Take
I
her
heard
out in
today."
cuffs. FBI, open up.
Have you been in a jury?
No, I had one like a couple of weeks ago, maybe like a month ago, and they just said they're like, "Oh, you don't have to be there anymore." I was like, "Cool."
You didn't get to talk to him at all?
No, I didn't have to go.
Oh, wow.
Remember when I told you I was like, I have jury duty? No, they canceled it like the day before. Because I remember I got to work and I was like, oh my God, I have jury duty. I checked the date and it was like, oh, it's tomorrow. And then they just cut it off. They dismissed it or something. I don't know what happened, but I didn't have to go. And I was like, thank God.
I've always wanted to be on a jury.
I kind of wanted to go too. I was like, if this is my choice, whether this guy is innocent or not, I would have a real good
But I
understanding.
want a good case though. If I'm gonna be a jury, I want like a juicy case.
It's like
I don't want
a-
to be in it for like
Old lady that went like 35 on 45 or something. She's like, for like reckless drivers. It's like, guilty.
I saw one. You know what I love? I love those court video shows on A&E all the time.
That has like the dumbest case
I
too. It's
know.
like, yeah, they moved out and they left a lot of trash in my house and I had to pay for the cost of to clean it up. It's like, what?
Do you have those stories to where like you had a client to where like really like this is absolutely
some.
crazy? Can you tell us anything about it?
I had a juvenile, poor kid, cutest little kid ever, because they come in at 10 in juvenile. They can be arrested at 10. So him and his friends were throwing rocks out of the bus, and I was actually prosecuting then. And the rock, I don't know how they proved it was the rock he threw that busted the lady's windshield, but she wanted him arrested.
What?
A 10-year-old?
Yeah, oh yeah, he came in and, he was the little cowboy kid. He was so cute. He with the boots and jeans, of course, you could tell he was already in trouble. Dad was mad at him. And so I was just like, you know what, just pay for a window.
So the cops came out and literally
Yeah, they
put
literally
cuffs on the
detained
10-year-old?
him, took him into the juvenile, fingerprinted him, released him back to his parents so he didn't stay, but it was
That's crazy. It's still like something that he'll remember.
correct.
I bet he hasn't skipped a rock since.
As a 10-year-old? I mean, that's what's that show? Oh my God, I can't think of names today. No, it's the show where they go through prison and they kind of see the prison life so they don't
Scared beyond scared
yeah.
straight. Yeah.
Do you think that works?
I don't know. They don't do that anymore.
I don't
I
think
always
that works.
wondered if it did.
I think it's just an ego battle. Like you have the young kids who think that they're like thugs and stuff, and then you have the people that are actually thugs, and like they're like, oh, since I'm free, like you can't even touch me. No, I feel like it's more like, I don't know. I feel like every time I seen the credits, it was like one kid that was like doing okay
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
out of the whole group.
And then the other ones, like, they don't really care. Like, okay, I just
and
walked
then
through
it's
the
like,
prison
well,
halls.
this
Okay.
person actually went to jail 2 months after this for X, Y, Z, and it's like, well, I guess proved yourself.
So we had our conversation on a different episode about this, but how do you feel about death penalty?
I'm for it in some cases. Others I'm not.
Okay.
I think child cases, it depends, on the circumstance of how the kid was killed. Say somebody kills their 2-year-old, beats them to death and kills them and does it intentionally. The death penalty, I think, is probably appropriate there. But other situations, like I know you can get the death penalty for killing a cop.
Mm,
Not sure I'm really in favor of that.
okay.
That one's a hard one.
How so?
Because most people have, they're either for it or against it.
Right.
I'm kind of in the middle. It just kind of depends,
Situational.
Because,
I'm for it in the right situations. I think there's certain situations where it's like, to me, it's just like evil people. There are evil people in this world, and they're just pure evil. They are. Like how you saying, who could do something like that to a child? Death penalty. You get a death penalty. You get anything with a kid. You can catch one.
Right. And that's a judge's decision, right?
No,
Oh, it's
so-
not.
the death penalty, it's a jury's decision in Texas. Whether you get, so say this state seeks the death penalty, it's up to the jury.
How do you feel about that, leaving it up to the jury?
I don't think it's a horrible thing. I don't, it's kind of back and forth. Do you want it up to certain judges? It depends on the judge. There's certain that have what I call the black robe syndrome, where they have all this power because they're the judge. Do you really want them putting the death penalty on somebody, or do you want it to be, in that case, it'd be 12 people deciding after they've heard everything about what happened, if they think the death penalty is appropriate?
I think it would be okay to leave it to the jury.
Yeah.
Only because you're leaving it up to like the general morality.
General public.
Not somebody who's already, knows and has to make decisions where it's like, yeah, they did something bad, but they don't necessarily deserve all this. They may be a little bit more lenient and open to like giving them different options rather than like a death penalty.
Right.
But I don't know, that stuff's crazy to me. I think there's a decent amount of people who should get a death penalty for a type of crime that's just, you can't really forgive somebody for that.
So let's talk about when the judgment is over, they got sentenced, how quickly or how often do your client, or just on the other side in general, wants to appeal it, and what's the process for the appealing?
So say you have a jury trial, because you can't appeal if you enter into a plea bargain, you waive your right to an appeal.
Mm-hmm.
So you have a jury trial, the jury comes back, say they give them 35 years. Then you have 30 days from that date to file your notice of appeal.
Mm-hmm.
Most people do appeal, and then it's up to the appellate court whether they think there was error to come back and reverse it. But I don't think it hurts anything. Sometimes you can get an appellate bond. It depends on the case.
What's an appellate bond?
To where you can bond out like you do on the regular one before trial, but you can be on bond until the appellate court decides whether you're going to uphold your conviction and sentence or not.
Does that depend on the conviction or the charge to you? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And when you appeal it, are you appealing the sentencing part or just a conviction?
It depends.
Or both.
So normally you would appeal both.
Mm-hmm.
I know technically they're two separate trials, so to speak, in Texas. But usually if you've gone to the jury for guilt, innocence, they find you guilty, and you chose the jury for punishment, then you would appeal both. So if you go and decide you want the judge to do your punishment, then you would just appeal the sentencing for the punishment from the judge.
That's a bargain too, right? I mean, that's gambling.
Yeah.
Because I mean,
it just seems like all of this stuff is just a gamble.
Are there times to where they do appeal it and it does get approved, but then their outcome is worse than what they've started?
Yeah, there have been cases like that.
Really? Wow. Yes. Crazy. So what would you, if you could give one advice, or maybe multiple, to anybody who is going through, who has gone through being convicted, been arrested, what would you tell them?
Never talk to the cops. If you're arrested, of course, don't.
Mm-hmm.
If they ask you for your driver's license and insurance, you have to hand it to them. But don't volunteer information.
Mm-hmm.
Ask for an attorney. I never recommend representing yourself in court.
For anything?
Really not for anything. I would always want an attorney, especially on the criminal side. If I were charged with something, I'd go hire an attorney.
Because they're used to it and they know the updated.
And then you're emotionally involved. The attorney's not emotionally involved. Mm-hmm. So that's another hard part about the job, is you try to keep a distance to where you don't get emotionally involved in the case, because then you can't be logical about it.
Right. Your judgment can be clouded.
Right. But most of it takes time. It's going to be a process to go through the system. Most cases pen 6 months to a year, sometimes longer. So that limbo, just try to have people that support you. Yeah. While you're going through it.
I've heard some attorneys that they absolutely won't take a case if they feel like your client actually did do the crime. Do you feel like that too? Or do you still choose to defend them, even though in your heart, yeah, this person did it?
So it depends on the case. There's going to be lots of times that people come in that they're guilty. I mean, you already know that. And especially once you see the discovery, clearly they're guilty. But then I believe they do deserve a defense, you know. And sometimes it's just trying to get them less time.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. Like at that point, do you try to defend him the sentencing part and maybe the plea bargain option, or do you
Rather
still try to defend him because oh no, I'm innocent?
The entire crime versus
Right.
It just depends on the facts.
Okay.
There are some cases that I personally don't choose to defend people on,
Mm-hmm.
just because I can't morally, no, not even so much morally, I can't separate myself from
Yeah.
this. So you refer those cases out to people that can.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
that those people make the big bucks. The ones that have to deal with the ones that nobody wants.
Have you had a team of like defense team before?
Usually, when I would try cases, I haven't tried as many in the last couple years since I've been here, but before, I always liked to have somebody second with me, whether they were there just to pick the jury, just so they could help. But normally, as a defense attorney, you're a lot of times on your own when you're in trial. And then you have the state that comes in with like 4 or 5 prosecutors.
So what would be the reason why people want to hire a team versus just one attorney?
It just depends, high profile cases, you want more feet on the ground, so to speak, to go in. Even, solo defense attorneys still have private investigators that go out and investigate things. But you yourself as an attorney don't want to investigate certain things because you can't be called as a witness in your own case.
I see. Interesting. I always wanted to do the grunt work and take pictures and be there at the crime
the
scene.
investigative.
Yeah. Are you allowed to do that? Like, have you gone to the actual location? Where
Yeah, I've gone to the scene several times.
Nice. Yeah.
I have a close family member of mine that is he's part of the homicide unit. So it's pretty cool hearing about it. But it's at the same time, it's also like, I don't know what goes on through your head, because some of that stuff is gruesome, like really gruesome.
Some things you just can't unsee.
Yeah. I've heard stuff that I can't really unhear. And then it's like, I think about it and then you just can't help but to picture it. And it's like, I'm sure that is a terrible sight.
Yeah.
Do you get nightmares? I mean, is that part of a thing with attorneys too? Because I know like with cops, I'm sure that, maybe the scene that they got into an accident and then you just can't, PTSD. Do you think that's part of it?
It depends on the case. If you're doing just misdemeanor cases, probably not. DWIs and stuff. Now, if it's to where you're looking at the pictures or even going to the scene, when you're a prosecutor, you usually go to the scene. Somebody's on call. So you have to go out for the high profile ones, the murders and stuff. So, yeah, you see those things. Yeah. You don't really talk to your family about it. You find other defense attorneys that have done the same thing, or other prosecutors, and those are the people you talk to. So in a way, it's like you hide things, but don't hide things.
Don't trigger her.
I'm trying not
She's
to.
trying to hurt her. She's trying to get away from this type of stuff.
But I always wonder, like, do I really have the stomach, or do
No,
I really have...
There's no chance. Because I think I maybe barely could have the stomach.
Like, I want to say
I
could.
No.
What?
No, because...
You're just doubting me. I think I could. I could do it.
Let's ask the Magic 8 Ball.
I'm going to do it. I have a question about experts. I've seen some cases too where, they have a doctor or medical examiner that did the autopsy, whatever, to try to decipher what was the cause of death and things like that. But then somebody else goes and does it the same thing, and they have 2 different opinions, or I guess like outcome. How does that happen?
Happens a lot.
But like who?
So you have the one that's like in a murder. You have the medical examiner that, of course, is paid by the state or the county. And then you can get a defense expert to go in. Usually they don't conduct another autopsy, but, they review the results and they come to a different conclusion. They're just like normal people, doctors are. So some are going to have differing conclusions, differing opinions. And then both of them would testify. And then usually it's a jury, sometimes a judge, gets to decide who they believe more.
See, but that's why I feel like it's like a convincing game to where, Yeah.
Don't go to jail. It's that simple.
No, right? Yeah,
Don't
that's
go
the
to
biggest
jail.
advice. Don't get in trouble.
Trials are gambles.
But if you do go to jail, and if you do get convicted of something, we do criminal law here at the Law of Brian Fagan, and this is one of our criminal law attorneys.
You can talk directly to Haley if you have questions. We offer consultations. But yeah, it was very, very nice talking to you. I hope you enjoyed it. I did. There's a lot of things that I definitely learned from this. I don't know if I want to tell my husband to carry a gun in his car anymore because he has really bad road rage. So
maybe we don't.
I just feel like one of these days, like he's gonna piss him off and just
Maybe
like no.
I had a situation where I was like, "Oh my god, what is this guy about to do?" It's crazy. People in Houston drive crazy.
Oh, Houston's the worst.
And everybody's got guns.
That's what I'm saying.
That's why you have to have a gun for yourself. Everybody else got guns.
But then if you still be convicted, even though you really were trying to,
I'd rather have a chance at living gun to gun rather than gun to no gun. Because at that point, you didn't even get a conviction. You're just dead. They shoot you first.
I know. Ugh,
It's terrible.
that's hard, man. I don't know how you do it. That would be so hard for me.
If it's really that serious between two people and they really want to choose life or death over a situation, they should just do it like how they did back in the old cowboy days where they just...
the duel,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, ask them for a duel. Go out in the middle of nowhere. Maybe have a medical team have a medical team stand by. Y'all do the duel. Call it a day.
Wasn't that part of a punishment too, way back in the day, to where instead of like lethal injection as the death penalty?
They had the firing squad
Yeah.
back in the day. They had, of course, electrocution, hanging was something back in the day.
Is it just lethal injection?
No, I
then?
don't know which one.
Depends on the state.
Oh,
I know
really?
some states still have the electric chair.
Oh,
Texas
wow.
just has lethal injection.
Dang, I didn't know.
Which one would you
Okay.
choose?
I'd rather do lethal injection because remember we talked
Electric,
about this. It's just 3
lethal,
minutes.
Firing squad.
See, I'd rather do the lethal injection
Yeah.
if I had to choose. Because you just get medicine and you go to sleep. The firing squad, you don't know which one's going to have the bullet in that's real. So you're like, oh my God, oh my God. And then hanging, what if your neck doesn't break?
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
At that point, I'm just going to book it.
It's multiple people. It's not just one person.
No, it's not just one. There were multiple. And not everybody had a live round. Some of them had
So
blanks.
Russian roulette. Just
Basically, it's actually insane.
So the person that actually killed them doesn't know they actually killed them because it's just
what?
Yeah, they probably know. You probably see it.
I did not know that.
It's insane. This world's crazy.
Like the ways that we thought about to get people out.
And way back in the day, they used to cut off fingers.
What's the neck one? The
Chopping
the
block?
what?
The guillotine?
Oh yeah, guillotine. Yeah.
Oh my god.
And they used to do that in public, right?
that was like the olden days. Yeah.
That's like back when gladiators and stuff.
Yeah, but still, imagine you just watching getting somebody getting.
Oh my gosh. I don't want to think about it. I couldn't be a criminal defense attorney.
I know. That's crazy. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Haley. I hope to see you back soon. I
Yes,
think we'll
thank y'all
have
for having me.
more conversation. This was really fun. So if you really like this content, give us a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel. Please drop your questions down below because you guys might see Haley sometime soon again. So if you have questions of what happened in your personal experiences, definitely drop them below so we can mention it and we can ask Haley for next time. But thank you so much for joining.
Thank you for having me.
Bye, guys. Thank you for watching another episode of Legal Lounge. If you enjoyed this episode, you can always give our office a call to schedule your free 30-minute consultation with one of our team members. Check the description below and give us a call today.